The following episode contains sensitive topic information that may not be appropriate for young listeners, as well as religious or other views that may not reflect those of the Sirens team.
Hello and welcome to Sirens of the Supernatural. We are almost at the end of our second season, and we want to welcome everybody that's joining in to listen. We're excited to bring you this episode because we're giving you some hints of where we're going to be next week, doing an on-site investigation. Hey, Lindsay. Hey, Ryan. Hope y'all are having a great week.
This is exciting.
Yes.
Like I said, I know our viewers and listeners are curious what we're talking about. We're excited. So I can't wait to share the news. And this is big for us. So I'm excited about what's coming up.
True. This is only our first. Well, we did an on-site investigation in the first season at the Martha Washington Inn, and this is our first one of season 2. And we've got even more neat stuff coming up. So stay tuned for all the good stuff that we'll be sharing. Places we're going and stuff later on in the year in October and September. We're bringing you spooky, spectacular September or something like that. We're going to try to have guests on, paranormal investigation teams and others on throughout the month on the podcast. So be looking forward to that. That's always fun having guests on. Last week was a lot of fun. I hope everybody caught that. Outlaw Paranormal. Wow.
It was so fun.
I know it was fun. It was unique. It was mind-blowing. We learned a lot, and then we had a lot of questions. But it was great.
Yeah, they had a lot of knowledge, and they thought they come up with a lot of theories and things that is kind of most people don't think about, which is very creative. And the thing about it is, it's like, okay, that sounds legit. So I really enjoyed having them on. I like getting their point of view, their perspective. They're the real deal. I enjoyed it very much.
Me too.
So if you missed it, you definitely need to check it out. That's one that you definitely need to go back and watch.
Yes, and I don't know about y'all, but I kept thinking about the Hat Man.
Yeah. We're going to have to do an episode on that.
Yeah, we are, because I've heard episodes on other podcasts. They've covered the Hat Man. Mm-hmm. It's a strange kind of phenomenon.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I think we've got some stories we're going to share about the location that we're going to be investigating next week. And so, who's going first? Is that?
I think I'll go first. I think because I have like a bunch of backstory and history and stuff on the house.
Factoids. We love factoids.
Oh my god, factoids. Okay. Most of this too, I will say. So when we had on the Southern Research
Society.
Yeah, I can never get that right. And Rhonda, we had on Rhonda Cottle. We got her book about this Nickerson Snead house because she's the one that owns it now. And so most of the facts and stuff that I have are from that book. And then I found another little website for I have a little bit about the ghost stories. I don't want to go too much into the ghost stories because I know we'll get into that a lot next weekend when we go. True. So I don't want to spoil anything too much, but I've got a little bit of stuff. Okay. So we'll start off. Now, I thought this was interesting because the place that I work at is not very far from the Nickerson Snead house, and it's in a town called Glade Spring. So before it was settled, Glade Spring was known to the Native Americans as Passawatami, which means this is the place. And it was a place that they used for events and all kinds of different gatherings. And the land and the house are located directly on the main path of what is known as the Great Warrior Path, which was like a Native American trade and traveling route and the path that they would take, like if they were going to war or anything, which I just thought was very interesting. Mm-hmm. I never would have known that. I thought that was a really cool fact just about the town itself, that it's always been like a huge gathering place for any kind of events, or I just think it's so
It
like,
is, yeah.
They went there and they're like, no, this is the place. Passamaquoddy, this is the place right here. I thought that was so cool.
There was something about it that drew them there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful area, so that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So then in the 1700s, there was a 2-log cabin that was built. Then the Nickerson Snead, when he purchased the surrounding land and he built the rest of the home, he built it around the existing log cabin, but that wasn't until 1835.
You said, so the first log cabin was like 2 rooms?
Just 2 rooms, just a 2-room log cabin in the 1700s. So before the founding of our country, this home has been there, which I know to like people in England and Europe, that's like a drop in the bucket because everything over there is so ancient. But like to us, this is like one of the earliest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Nickerson Snead, when he bought the land, he just built his house around the existing cabin. Now, there's not a ton, and I guess there wouldn't be a ton of information about what the house was from 1700 to 1835. Like, that's 135 years of history that just, I guess, isn't really well known. There's not a lot of records. I mean, there was a lot of different wars going on, Revolutionary War, then the Civil War comes up, but it makes me wonder about the history before he got the house, but
maybe we'll find out a little more about that next week.
Yeah, because I'm very interested in that. But so Nickerson and Betsy Snead were instrumental in kind of putting Glade Spring on the map, and they did this by selling off parcels of their land because they bought a lot of land in the area. It's not just that little small space where the Snead house is. It was like a ton of acreage around there. So they sold off the plots of land kind of around their house to make the town and to other people that were moving there. And then they were also advocates in getting the railroad to come through Glade Spring. So it goes through Glade Spring, Virginia, down past Bristol. I mean, if they hadn't have gotten the railroad involved, who knows if Glade Spring would even still be a town. You know what I mean? Because they had access to everything with the railroad, and they wouldn't have. It probably just would have been their house, and then they would have had to come on down to Abingdon for anything else. But the railroad goes through Glade Spring. It goes right in front of my workplace. We hear it all the time. And so that's how they got their little town. And also they were both considered postmasters of the town, which I thought was cool. Like, it wasn't just Nickerson that was considered a postmaster. Betsy was also considered a postmaster in the town, which I thought was really cool. Because
so, was the post office in their home? Was it in the house?
I don't think they know if it was in the main house. There's also like a little brick
outbuilding, yeah,
on the outside, but it's not very big, so they don't know if that was like, and we'll get to this later on, but could have been for the post, for mail, or it could also have been like a little makeshift Civil War hospital kind of examining room.
Because he was a doctor, right? Okay.
Wasn't there like a morgue in the cellar, like in the basement?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Popular space in the Civil War, but so that brings me to the next thing. So the adjoining lands were a major thoroughfare for Civil War troops on both sides, because there was the Battle of Saltville. There was the first battle, and then there was a second Battle of Saltville that happened within 8 miles of Nickerson Snead's house. So he wasn't just like instrumental in bringing the railroad and the post to Glade Spring, but he was also acting as a physician. And so they would bring troops from both sides of the war down to his house to try to be saved, to be operated on, to be stored in the cellar until they could wait for the land to thaw out and bury them elsewhere. So at one point, because in the winter when this war was going on, at one point they were using the cellar of their house to store these bodies of soldiers, who knows how many. I would not. If I were someone living in that house at the time, yeah, you're going through all the trauma of having this war raging around you, but I just would not be able to get past the fact, okay, there's like 10 dead bodies in my cellar frozen because we can't do anything with them. I don't think I could have got past that. That's wild to me.
That's creepy. All right. I
The
wonder if
thing,
we'll get to go down in the cellar, like while we're there.
Yes.
and the thing that amazes me is, he had family probably for both sides, or he had a decision, which one he thought was right or wrong.
Preference, yeah.
And yet he used his morals and say, hey, these people are fighting for what they feel is right. So whether they was on the side he fought for or thought was right, he tried to heal them all, I assume, right? So that just is a testament to him as a person. And it goes to show, hey, look, everybody's human beings. If you're on this side or that side, I'm still going to try to fix you up no matter what. So I think that, it says a lot about that gentleman.
It does.
So a lot of respect to him.
I
Yeah.
do have to be fair. I myself am very conflicted on my feelings for Mr. Snead. Because yes, he was a physician and he was saving lives, and he also served as a physician and on the board of trustees for Emory Henry College down the way where I went to college. But he also owned 11 slaves. Now, yes, this was a Civil War. This was a time where people had slaves, and that was the whole point of the fighting. But I wanted to learn more about these slaves because I could only find, I think, one picture in Rhonda's book. There's not a lot of, there was the slave census schedule that went around, and there's a picture of it in the book, like the original one that has his name, that he owned these slaves. But all I couldn't find any names or anything, but all I could find was that of his slaves, 4 of them were adult males, 2 were adult females, and 5 of them were children. I couldn't find any names or anything, but and I also think he's an interesting guy because when he died, he left the bulk of his estate. He left most of his estate to Betsy, but only if she didn't remarry. If she remarried, if she wanted to, grow and be happy again one day, no. His estate's going to be sold off between his siblings. And my dear wife Betsy, no, I'm going to leave her $1.
Yeah, that was in the book. I was like, what?
So we're going to be petty like that, Nick? Nick, what are we doing? I cannot, because they were together for a good long while, right? And I think that she had even been widowed before she married him. She had married somebody else. He passed away, and then she married Nickerson Snead. So you're telling me, this woman has already been widowed once. She found happiness with you, but you don't want her to be happy with anybody else. She ain't getting none of my land. I'll give her $1. Granted, I don't know how that would compare to money today, but it just seems like a slap in the face to me.
It does. And poor Betsy, she had already lost, she lost her first husband. She lost a child. And then she lost another child. She had a rough go of it.
And I'm fairly sure that when I was researching on this other website, that her first husband, when he passed away, if he said that if she remarried, then she would lose the property of these 2 slave boys that they had. So if she remarried, she would have to leave them behind, which I think ultimately happened, which is like shitty, but
yeah,
I don't even know what to say. It's just
conflicted.
It's awful. Yeah, it's just awful.
Yeah.
And honestly, and I know there are goods and bads to everything, but it puts a bad taste in my mouth for Mr. Snead that he had these slaves and then he was treating Betsy like that. And then, so I'll be interested. I'll be really interested to go visit his.
Yes. And to hear Rhonda's take on it, because she will be there.
It's not saying that I'm going to provoke anything, but I might have some hard questions for Mr. Snead that he's going to have to answer.
Okay.
Not that I'm going to ask them disrespectfully, because, you know, I don't want to be like possessed or anything, but somebody's got to hold this man accountable for treating people this way. Okay.
Lord
Anyways, I don't want to take forever. So, okay. So in 1872, Betsy's will stated that she wanted an iron fence built around the graves of herself, her son, her husband, as well as her sister Polly and her husband. But this was never carried out. And actually, her headstone was found to be stolen and is missing to this day, but kind of not right across from the house, but kind of diagonal from the house. The Glade Cemetery is pretty close. I mean, I think you can kind of see it from the house. So the rest of the family's graves can still be found there. Nickerson Snead's still over there. So, you know, like, she's buried somewhere around, but her headstone's just, it's been missing to this day. And
That's sad.
I think it sucks that nobody, I mean, yes, the house is not named after her, but she was still a vital part in founding Glade Spring and making it into what it is today, like the founding moves of what it is today. So I think it kind of sucks that nobody in the town has said, hey, we should give her, I mean, she's one of the founding members of this town, we need to give her a headstone back and maybe give her that little iron fence that she wanted. I don't know why she wanted it. Maybe she thought it would be cute, but it never happened.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of sucks. But
are we gonna walk down to that cemetery? Like,
yeah. I'm just trying to give Betsy her recognition, okay?
Okay.
All right. So in 1876, William B. Mason and his wife, Mary Araminta French, hell of a name. Okay.
Yeah.
Love that for her. Purchased the house and passed it down through their family for the next 100 years. And they called it Masonia.
Masonia.
So fancy. Now, they did have some tragedies in the house, not like right after they moved in, but so Josephine Mason died at the age of 10 after having diphtheria, mumps, and measles all in a short amount of time. This was in 1902. And then in 1910, Douglas Mason died at the age of 8 after he was kicked in the head by a horse. And after he was kicked in the head, he was carried to the stairs in the back of the house. And he just passed away there while they were waiting for a physician to come. He didn't make it. So there's obviously some deaths in the house from Civil War patients that didn't make it. But there's also deaths in the house from people that like actually lived there. So it's very sad. But the Masons sold the property to Angela and Emil Waldrus in the late 1980s, where it was converted into the Swiss Inn Bed and Breakfast.
And that's what most people in the local area remember it as, the Swiss Inn. Yeah.
And then in 2004, it was bought by Rhonda and Ricky Caudill. In 2011, there was a tornado that ripped through the town of Glade. And as it went, it ripped the roof and a lot of the front portion of the house off. And then after about $150,000 of damages and a full year repairing it, Rhonda's sister gave them the idea to turn it into a historic museum, because I think Rhonda and her family own a few different houses in the area, like historical houses in the area, but they just weren't sure what to do with this one, especially after it got all of that damage from the tornado. But it was a good idea for her to suggest that, because now they hold murder mystery dinners, craft festivals, living histories, overnight paranormal investigations, Victorian high tea, spiritualist investigations, metaphysical conferences, and during the Halloween season, they turn it into like a little haunted house. So has a past, this house does. Has a varied past of a lot of different things over the years. Now, I do want to touch on some of the hauntings. Not into a lot of detail, because we can do that later on, but I ended up stumbling across this website and I think her name is Sabrina Caton. I don't know how to say her last name, but she's a realtor in the Silicon Valley area. But her family, now I don't know if they were the Waldresses that owned it and turned it into the Swiss Inn, but her family owned it at some point when it was the restaurant and the bed and breakfast.
Okay.
And she has written this, just her experience of going to the Nickerson Snead house as she was growing up and like staying there for Christmas with her parents. And so I'm going to link that.
Yeah.
Her phone number is on this website because she's a realtor, and I was so tempted to just text her and be like, "Hey, girl, this is who I am. Can I ask you about this house?" But then I was like, "No, she's out there trying to sell houses and be a boss, so I'm not gonna bother her with that." But I do want to read a little bit about the hauntings that she wrote in this website.
Oh.
So she says, the home is said to be haunted by various spirits. Young children presumed to be Josephine and Douglas Mason both died young in the home. Josephine from an onslaught of disease and Douglas from a kick to the head by a horse, where the little boy died on the back steps waiting for the doctor to arrive. There are 2 devious little pranksters in the old log rooms, suspected to be 2 of the 11 slaves who were part of the estate, because remember there were 5 children there.
Mm-hmm.
But the most famous of them all is Betsy Scott herself, known as the Woman in Blue, who is said to walk the corridors and purposefully ignore the patrons of the bed and breakfast, restaurant, and walk away if ever addressed. It became a problem. The complaints were consistent, and the real hostess always apologized and explained that no one by that description worked there. Can you imagine if Yelp existed back then? Or maybe it's Mrs. Mason, who bought the home from the Sneads and upon her death requested her wake to be held in the salon, and so it was. She's been said to be seen looking into her own coffin from time to time while dinner is served.
Oh. Wow.
So, like, and I was just reading through her website, and I don't know if she herself ever experienced a ghost or anything, but it was funny because it's a bed and breakfast, right? So people are there, they want to be served their breakfast, they have questions, but there's this woman walking around in blue that anytime they ask her anything, she's like, and just goes about her day. She's like trying to get them fired. That just cracked me up. She's like, "Don't talk to me. I don't work here." It cracked me up. I was like, "Oh, I want to see her. I want to say hi to her."
That's so funny.
Okay, and then so I just have a couple other things, and then I'll be done with my part. But this is another reason why I'm a little sketched out by Nicki Snead over there. Okay, so the red room, there's all these different kinds of rooms in the Nickerson Snead house. And Mom and I think, are going to be staying in the red room. Yes? Okay.
Yes.
So it has been confirmed that Nickerson Snead had a doctor's office on the premises somewhere. They don't know if it was in the red room or there's like a little brick building out front. It could have also been there. But a lot of people think that his office was in the red room, which we're going to be staying in. Now, I don't have every single ghost story from the red room written down that I want to read you guys. We can get into that later, but this is just one that left a bad taste in my mouth. I just did not like this story, so I just wanted to tell everyone.
No, basically you just want to tell Mom to scare her.
No, I want to tell everybody his business so that they're also conflicted about
it.
Oh,
okay.
So a male slave died in the fields, and instead of burying him like a respectable person, like a respectable, normal person, Nicki Snead skinned the flesh from his bones and let his bones bleach in the sun. And then he assembled the skeleton and displayed it in his office.
Oh, wow.
I feel like that silence was palpable. That's exactly what I wanted to happen after I said that. Because have you lost your mind, Nick? What are we doing here? You're a physician, which I understand that you're interested in the human body, but I'm also conflicted because you think you own another person and that you can do that to them. You must be out of your mind.
Well, and
it's
think
about
about
for me to be respectful to him.
This enslaved man's family. He probably had his family was there too. Probably, I would be horrified if someone did that.
He would never hear the end of it. from me if I was in that family. Okay, so then it gets better from here. He got really upset because he discovered that children were coming into his office and stealing the bones from the skeleton. So he took it out back and buried it somewhere on the property, but he never marked it.
Wow.
Yeah, I have words for him. It's going to be hard for me not to be like, hey, you suck. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that because I don't want to get possessed, but if he was real and he was alive, yeah, I would say it to his face. Be like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you... Okay, all right, let me calm down.
Sure.
Ryan's like...
Getting more excited about this trip by the minute.
Ryan's like, please, God, don't say that. Okay, so then the last thing I have is that Betsy can be seen looking out the window of her room because it was thought that there was a nursery in her room at some point. And then there's a woman in a long white dress that can be seen walking up the back staircase where Douglas died, but nobody knows who she is.
Nobody's asked, huh?
There's also heavy footsteps that pace the hallways at all hours of the night. There have been a ton of other paranormal investigations that have gone on. They've got Class A EVPs, which are like very clear, loud voices that are caught on their recording devices that just are phantom voices. There's been tugging on clothes, other disembodied voices, shadow figures. All of these things have been experienced at the Nickerson Snead home, plus a ton of other stuff, which I'm not going to get into. I've already been talking for like 30 minutes, so I will pass it on to Ryan.
But we will save a lot of that for next week's episode.
And just
Wouldn't
know,
it be cool to tell it while we're there?
Just know, ladies and gentlemen, I have very strong feelings about Mr. Snead.
Oh, you're taking some strong energy in there.
Mr. Nicky Snead. Yeah, because, like, first of all, how dare you? I know he probably helped a lot of people. I know he probably did a lot of good for the town. But it's just, Champ's going to start barking because the train's going by. It's just the fact to me that you feel entitled to own another person. I got beef with that.
Yeah.
I got beef.
Understandable.
Back to you, Ryan.
Oh, thanks for leading me. All right, let's go. Hey, that was interesting. Like I said, you never know what you're getting into here. That's a lot of very good historical facts you get, and you find out behind the stuff. And, who knows? We might be able to contact some people and find out who that mysterious ghost is. Or we may contact the slave and find out exactly where he's buried at to be able to help him find closure or something. So you never know. We might actually try to find some information out there that, and you may get your wish and talk to Mr. Snead. Hopefully not through me or, your mother, but, we'll, if I start
I'm going to stay in the same room with her.
Yeah, if I start talking funny or weird.
We're going to be in his office. I mean, if there's a desk in there, I might sit down and say, listen, I got some questions, Doc. You want to come talk about it?
Okay, so like we're talking about, we talked a lot about the outside, and and before I get into the inside, which we'll be at, there has been this is a little excerpt. It was published by the Nickerson Snead House Bed and Breakfast, and this is about the outside portion of the home and of the land, and the landscapes that's on the outside. And this is called The Eerie Charm of a Haunted Yard, Exploring the Allure of Spooky Landscapes. So this talks about, the cemetery, the outside, all the stuff that you just mentioned. And it's kind of interesting. So it reads, in the twilight hours, when shadows dance and the wind whispers secrets, there exists a realm where the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary, a haunted yard. With its mysterious allure and eerie ambience, a haunted yard beckons both the curious and the brave to venture into its depths, where tales of ghosts, ghouls, and otherworldly beings come to life. As the sun sets and the darkness envelops the land, the haunted yard awakens from its slumber. The once familiar trees cast ominous silhouettes against the moonlit sky, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The rustle of leaves becomes a haunting melody, accompanied by the distant hoot of an owl or the creak of an old gate swaying in a breeze. Every corner holds the promise of the unknown. Every shadow harbors a secret waiting to be revealed. But what is it about a haunted yard that captivates our imagination and draws us in despite our apprehension? Perhaps it is the thrill of the unknown, the exhilarating rush that comes from confronting our deepest fears. In a world where certainty reigns supreme, the haunted yard offers a glimpse into the realm of uncertainty, where anything is possible and reality blurs with fantasy. Moreover, a haunted yard is not merely a place of fear, but also one of fascination. It is a canvas upon which stories come to life, where the imagination is free to roam and explore the darker corners of the human psyche. Each cobweb-covered corner and shadowy alcove holds the potential for a new tale to unfold, whether it be of restless spirits seeking a redemption or a vengeful specters trapped in eternal torment. Furthermore, the aseptic appeal of haunted yard cannot be overstated. From decrepit tombstones to tattered curtains billowing in the wind, every detail is meticulously crafted to evoke a sense of foreboding and mystery. The careful arrangement of props and decorations creates a visual spectacle that is both chilling and enchanting, drawing visitors deeper into the heart of darkness. But perhaps the most compelling aspect of a haunted yard is its ability to bring people together, whether it be friends sharing nervous laughter as they explore its depths, or families bonding over the thrill of a well-timed jump scare. The haunted yard has a way of uniting people in a shared experience unlike any other. In a world that often feels fragmented and divided, it serves as a reminder of our common humanity and the universal desire for connection and belonging. In conclusion, the haunted yard is more than just a place of fear and apprehension. It is a realm of mystery, imagination, and camaraderie. With its eerie charm and otherworldly allure, it continues to captivate and inspire all who dare to venture into its depths. So the next time you find yourself drawn into the shadows, remember that within the darkness lies the potential for adventure and discovery beyond your wildest dreams.
Ooh.
And that's before you even get into the house.
That's just the yard, baby.
Right, that's just pulling up and walking in the front yard.
That paints such a picture too in your mind.
It did. And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. I can't believe I didn't mess that up.
You did a good job reading that.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, there's several rooms, and of course, we'll start with some of the other rooms. Some of the rooms that are haunted, like we mentioned, and I'll get to the rooms that that we'll be staying in. But the first one is the green room. The beautiful green room had been closed to the public for the past decade, but it was used as a staging area for storage for the haunted house attraction. There's not a grand haunted history about this room, and we don't know of any specific or significant historical importance of the room. However, through the years, there have been some paranormal experiences here in the room, and paranormal occurrences really began to increase when we opened the room and renovated it in February of 2023. There were actually footsteps in the room while we were in the room painting, and since the room has been open, we have heard footsteps, rustling, and voices from that room. So if this is the room of your choice, you may be awakened in the night by sounds of an unseen visitor walking around or moving things, and you may also be awakened by a disembodied voice. No need to worry, though. This room houses a curiosity entity only. So it just moves stuff around. It'll talk to you. It'll make some noise, but it doesn't really mess with anything. So whenever they start renovating it and changing his room around, that's when it made him mad. He's like, hey, leave my stuff alone. Right? Why y'all messing with my stuff? Just leave it here. So now they flustered it up, not like somebody that's above me that's going to do when we get over there, you know, getting things flustered up or wrought up, start messing with things. So, and that's just one of the rooms. The next room is the gold room. So the Regal Gold Room is a very haunted room because during the years of our haunted attraction, we had many occasions of paranormal activity in the room. There was ghostly shadows on the wall, props moving by unseen hands in the closet, a small non-living person dancing around on the bed. A paranormal team also got some great video footage of a woman sitting on the bed brushing her hair. Even though we do not have any really spectacular historical information about this room, it's very active. And we do believe at some point this was the bedroom of a young woman, perhaps a spirit that occasionally makes herself known on the back staircase on very rare occasions. And this is the woman in white, and her name is Rachel. And she has been seen throughout the years on rare occasions. So if you choose this room, you may wake up in the dark hours of the night to Miss Rachel sitting on the edge of your bed, or there might be a small person dancing around the bed. So please don't be alarmed, though. They're just playful and curious.
The
Honestly,
small person.
I
It's
would rather
creepy.
have Rachel sitting on
Me
the bed.
too.
The idea of a small, tiny person dancing around the bed, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So, and then the next one we'll talk about is Betsy's room. So Betsy's room is very active, and she is particular about who she shares a room with. There have been reports of people seeing Betsy looking out the window, and there's a photo of a woman standing in the room that wasn't supposed to be there during the haunted house one year. There's also a photo of Betsy standing in the window that looks out into the hallway. The activity in this room is disembodied voices, loud crashes, walking, and the feeling of being watched. This room was the nursery for Betsy and Dr. Snead's only child, who died before he was a year old. This room was very comforting and a sad room for Betsy, and it's no wonder Betsy has been seen so often in this room. So if you choose this room, you'll be assured you'll hear some type of noise, and you may possibly wake up in the wee hours of the morning to see Betsy standing near the window looking out toward the cemetery where she and her children are laid to their eternal rest. And you may or may not get a good night's sleep in this room, but no need to worry. Betsy's a kind spirit.
Good to
So
know.
that's another one. And then we're going to get into the rooms that we'll do. So the first one will be the room that I'll be staying in. This is the amethyst room. So me and Lisa will be here. And this is a unique and large amethyst room, is very active. There have been so many reports of children playing, talking, giggling, and even touching people in this room. During the haunted house attraction, there were many reports of children in this room when there were no living children even in the house. So for years, we called this the children's room. Even though we called this the children's room, there were not actually the master bedroom for Nickerson and Betsy Snead. So this was their master bedroom. We think that the child activity is from the time the Mason children resided in the home, and we believe the children in the room is Josephine and Douglas Mason. So if this is a choice of rooms for you, we hope that you are a child at heart, because you may wake up to children playing in the room, and you may wake up to giggling children, but don't be surprised if the children prank you by moving your things around the room, and you will definitely experience paranormal activity in this room. But don't fret. After all, they're just children.
How does Lisa feel about this?
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
We're going. So we're excited.
Have you told her that? What you
Yes,
just read?
yes.
Okay.
So we're excited. So she's just like, okay, it's kids, but she's one of the people, she don't believe, but she kind of does believe. She's like, but she's curious.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
So we may be babysitting or children setting that night. So I may be asking for a tip after, depending on how rowdy they get. And then we get to the room that y'all will be staying in, the red room. And it's actually called the Notorious Red Room, and it's definitely the most haunted room in the house. There have been many reports of every type of phenomenon in that room dating back since before the Caudells purchased the home. There have been reports of a woman sitting on the bed during the night, also of a woman appearing in a mirror behind people, walking, unexplained sounds, furniture moving by unseen hands, disembodied voices, a heavy feeling, and Civil War soldiers being seen in the hallway just outside the room. This room was used as Dr. Snead's office, and many patients were treated in this room. Civil War soldiers were treated in this room, and undoubtedly some patients passed away in this room, and there is no wonder this room is the most haunted room in the house. Now, if you choose to stay the night in this room, you are definitely a brave soul, and you'll be sharing the room with many spirits, so don't think you will be getting a good night's sleep. So if you are wanting a haunting experience, this is the room for you.
All right.
So we've got two of the most haunted rooms there.
Love that.
That was kind of by design.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened that it worked out that how the rooms kind of fell into place. I'm really excited about it, so we should get some good information. I'm excited to our experience, and then I'm excited about you guys' experience. I'm sure we'll be in contact throughout the night and the evening. I'll also be checking the hallways out and stuff because they've got to go back and forth
and the common areas too.
I want to go everywhere. I want to go to the cellar.
The back stairs. Yeah.
You know what I was just thinking about that I'm curious about now? I do wonder where the slave quarters were. Because they probably weren't in the house, but there hasn't been any mention of other.
They must have had other outbuildings.
Had to be there's a building, or maybe even they might have, when there wasn't patients, they might have been in the cellar. There might be a building or a shed out somewhere. And I was thinking, we're going to eat breakfast or probably the next day. The lady better bring my stuff or she's not getting a tip. She can't ignore me that morning.
What, the lady in blue?
The lady in blue, yeah.
It's no tip for you.
Yes, we will be in contact, throughout the night because, if we experience something, we definitely will let you guys know. And we'll probably be in and out of both rooms all night. But speaking of that, that's a perfect segue to what I'm going to talk about. So this event, SRS Paranormal Southern Research Society, they actually, before we even had them on the show, I think I saw this on their Facebook page that, like Lindsay said, they have events throughout the year, different things that they do. And I saw that it was coming up in late July, an event that they were having. It's a 2-night public kind of investigation, all things spooky weekend. So they're having it on Friday night, but we're going on the Saturday night. So here are some of the things that we get to participate in, other than, staying in a haunted room and doing our own investigation. So the way they promoted the event, it says, join us at our home haunt for a seance and public investigations. The Southern Research Society returns to our esteemed home haunt, the Nickerson Snead Bed and Breakfast. Join us for an evening of exploration through dark hallways steeped in over 200 years of history, tragedy, and eerie tales. Your night begins with a meet and greet and Paranormal 101 with our team. So that's going to be fun. Mm-hmm. Followed by a seance in our dedicated seance room. And I have to say, never been to a seance. It's my first one.
Me either. I'm excited.
Yeah. So that's another thing on the agenda. And then it says the highlight of the evening is a lights out paranormal investigation to commune with the spirits of the house. Okay. And then an overnight stay in one of our 5 unique bedrooms. Okay. So at 4, and we got the VIP tickets that give us VIP access. So at 4:30 next Saturday, from 4:30 to 6, I guess we get to meet the team and all this stuff. They'll show us some things around the home. And then from 6 to 7, oh, and I forgot to mention, we're not the only guests staying there. There are other people that are staying there that weekend. And some people are coming just for the events of the evening. They're not staying. So we'll get to meet a lot of people that night. So from 6 to 7 p.m., they're doing their Paranormal 101 class. And then from 7 to 7:30 is the seance. And from 7:30 to 11 is the paranormal investigation. And I'm curious to see how they do their investigations, what equipment they use, things like that. And it'll be neat to be able to do that with someone else that's more professional than
that knows what they're doing.
That knows what they're doing,
yeah.
And in a home that they are very familiar with. They're very familiar with the activity there and any spirits and stuff like that. So, and then from 11 o'clock on, I guess we're on our own. We'll be we'll be getting to know the ins and outs of our rooms and any kind of. I do want to walk down to the little graveyard there at
Should
night.
Should we do it at night?
Yes.
Ooh. Ryan's like.
Especially, we got to do it at nighttime. I mean,
yeah. Oh, that reminds me, I need to put flashlight on my list.
Things to get. Well, we'll have our phones too.
That's true.
And a lot of the phones now, you don't even really have to light because they light up and they've got enough light to where it looks almost like night vision or something. So that way it doesn't intrude or the investigation. It still looks like it's almost dark. So we might get some good footage and find out some information. And like I said, SRS Paranormal, they're a great team. So hopefully I look forward to seeing them. And of course, we got some things coming up and this is going to be awesome.
Should we go live from the graveyard?
We should go live from everywhere.
We are planning on going live, and so we'll put on our social medias what times that we'll be going live throughout the night, so that listeners can join in the fun and feel like you're there with us. I think I want to. Maybe one of those times will be when we go to the cemetery there, and I want to take our digital recorder. Maybe we can, do a small, really short session or something there. But yes, we will be going live, and we're not pros at going live, so we're gonna practice that this weekend on our end, so that we can, at least get our feet wet and kind of know a little bit about what we're doing. I don't think it's really hard, but it's just we're not as professional as some of the other people. We're learning kind of as we go along too. So those are some of the things that we want our viewers, our listeners, to feel like they're kind of there with us, when we are there. And then after our big night of investigation, SRS has agreed to come back on the podcast and help us wrap up our season 2 with a recap of our night at the Nickerson Snead house. So that's going to be really fun. That'll be, we'll go out with a bang, season 2, and then start up season 3. So they have been so gracious to us. And of course, we're on our show earlier in the season a few weeks ago. And then they're just excited too that we're get to come and do this, because Ryan was able to kind of meet with them a little bit at the Smoky Mountain Terror.
Yeah.
And so, our teams will get to meet, and that'll be neat. And we'll meet a lot of other people that are coming just for the events. I don't know how many people will be there for the events that actually aren't staying the night, but I know they have quite a few. And when they put this event on Facebook, the rooms started going really fast. So I knew we had to jump on it. So we did, and we were able to get the rooms we want and to get the night that worked best for us. So I'm so excited. It's going to be a really different on-site investigation than what we did at the Martha Washington. First of all, Ron's going to get to be there with us, which he wasn't at that investigation. And then we're going live, which we really didn't do at that investigation. And we're going to be with another paranormal investigation team. So all of the exciting things. So if you have questions, listeners, that about anything about the Nickerson Snead house, you can. We're going to be sharing some of the links on our socials this week, leading up to our investigation, and also send in your questions if you have questions or if you have ideas for us to do while we're there. You can always reach us at sirensofthesupernatural@gmail.com. We're always checking our emails and our comments on socials as well. So be watching social this week. And yeah, Ron's showing you. Okay. Yes. And send in your listener stories. I'm wondering if anybody else out there has stayed at the Nickerson Snead bed and breakfast and had any experiences, either while it's been the Nickerson Snead house or when it was the Swiss Inn, or previous owners that may have had experiences. So that would be cool to have some of those stories from firsthand experiences. So follow our socials, like I said, this week, and be looking for those times when we're going to try to go live. We'll try to take you live in the rooms too. I really want to do that, in each of the rooms that we're staying in. So, and maybe
help us research. I mean, if you see something, let us know, so that you might see something we don't.
Yeah. But don't just tell us, that you see something if you really don't.
Oh, now they're going to, for sure.
I know all our family members that'll be on will probably be doing that.
It's always fun to, when you're talking about working and requesting time off and you're doing stuff like this. And they're like, oh, yeah, what do you need today off for? And you're like, ghost hunting. I'm like going to see if I can. We're doing we're going to do a, we're going to play with Ouija boards and go spend the night in a cemetery. And,
you could say, like for this instance, you could say, well, I have a doctor's appointment.
Yeah, because he was a doctor.
Not every time, but in this specific case,
I have a
doctor's appointment.
I feel a cold coming on.
Yeah.
I have a doctor's appointment I got to go to.
Or historical research.
Yes.
See? We're scholars.
Mm-hmm.
We're scholars.
Well, our word is getting out about the podcast, and our followers, that number's going up and up. And just this week at work, one of my coworkers told there was a visiting lady that came in to do some training, and one of my coworkers that knows about the podcast told this lady while they were at lunch. So when they come back from lunch, she's like, so I told her about your podcast, and then the lady said, have you ever done anything about Mothman? And I was like, oh yeah. Season 1, girl, let me tell you. And so, because she said her son is just obsessed with Mothman, so she listened to the Mothman episode and is gonna have him listen as well. She said that his idea of vacation, now I'm not sure how old he is, but he still lives at home. His idea of a good vacation is to go to the Mothman Festival. And I love that. That's great. I was like, what a neat kid.
That's another siren in the making. See?
Yeah, there you go. Yes, a Sirens fan at the least, right? But anyway, yeah, I told her how we had, Travis Short on, and that was a really good episode in season 1. And actually we did like a follow-up too. So anyway, just thought I would throw that out there. So, we're having fun, and more people are coming along for the ride. So that's great. And we want to wish you all a great and spooky weekend. And we will see you next week. So, Ron, why don't you take us out?
All right. So, everybody, I said thanks for listening. And as always, stay spooky.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.